Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the no, we're okay. Welcome to the El Cajon City Council meeting. The meeting is called to order. I'd like to ask our city clerk to please call the roll.
All council members are present.
Great. Would you all stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance and then remain standing for a brief moment of silence afterwards? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The city clerk posted orders of adjournment of the November 18th, 2025 special meeting and the agenda of the December 9th, 2025 meeting in accordance with state law, City Council and Housing Authority policy. Before we continue with the meeting, I'd like to invite members of the public to attend the 2026 City Council Priorities and Goal Setting Workshop. We will review City Council priorities for the new year. This will take place next week on Tuesday, December 16th at 6:30 p.m. in the Police Department's Community Room, 100 Civic Center Way. We have several presentations on today's agenda, and the first one's a great one for us. There is a commendation for the KUSI Community Champion of the Month, and it was won by our very own Elizabeth Valles, who has served on our planning commission and been a staple here in El Cajon for a long time. Elizabeth, are you here? Oh, hi, there you are. Come on up. Oh, no, you're not done yet. No. The embarrassment will continue for quite a few minutes. How are you doing? How did it feel to win this award?
Overwhelming. Very humbled because, literacy was the main reason that this reward was given, and it's just been something on my heart for so long, especially doing neurodevelopment at Rady Children's and realizing how many people couldn't afford books or didn't have books or didn't know they should be reading to their kids. And screens have taken over so much of our life as adults, but even you see it with children, and we have to just get back to the good old-fashioned hard books. And I got to see the joy of giving some out today to some kids, and just even the parents' joy on their face. So it's wonderful, and I just really appreciate this because I'm just doing what God put me on this earth to do.
Indeed. Let me read this commendation that you received, and people will know a little bit more about who you are and what you do. Whereas KUSI and Fox 5 San Diego television stations have created the program titled Community Champion, recognizing one individual in San Diego County each month who has made an extraordinary impact through service to their community. And whereas El Cajon resident and Rady Children's Hospital nurse practitioner, Dr. Elizabeth Valles, was selected by the stations as the community champion for November 2025. Dr. Valles knew from the age of 5 that she would devote her life to helping children. And whereas Dr. Valles established a literacy program that distributes free books to children who are patients at Rady Children's Hospital, as well as to families staying at the nearby Rady's Ronald McDonald House, providing access to new books that support reading skills and spark a love of learning. Now, therefore, I, Bill Wells, Mayor of the City of El Cajon, together with the City Council, do hereby commend and honor Dr. Elizabeth Valles for her creative, generous, and compassionate volunteerism, which has brought comfort, encouragement, and a more positive experience to children and families during challenging times of hospitalization. Signed this 9th day of December 2025. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Next, we have a presentation for the Parks and Recreation Leadership Academy, and Park Ranger Supervisor Ben Slater will tell us about this. Hello, Ben.
How's it going?
Great.
Good afternoon, Mayor Wells, council members, and city staff. My name is Ben Slater, and I am the Park Ranger Supervisor. Today, I have the pleasure to introduce the graduates of this year's academy, but before I turn it over to them, I wanted to give a brief overview of what exactly the Leadership Academy is. The Leadership Academy was designed to help our part-time Parks and Rec staff develop core skill sets and real-world understanding of how teams function, with the goal of preparing them for their next career step as a full-time employee, no matter where that may take them. I was fortunate to have been a Leadership Academy graduate myself and believe that this academy contributed to me being where I am today. In total, we had 6 graduates, 5 of which were able to make it here today to give a brief glimpse into what the Leadership Academy meant to them and some of the insights they were able to take away from the program. With that being said, I'd like to welcome Liliana Alva to the podium as the first graduate to speak.
Hello, my name is Liliana Alva. I have worked for the city of El Cajon for 4.5 years as a recreational specialist 1 at Bostonia Center. After having the privilege to go through Leadership Academy, I learned how to communicate effortlessly, motivate others, and make informed decisions with great confidence. I was also able to gain greater insight into my own self-awareness and practical skills in order to develop my ability to lead teams, manage challenges, and create a positive impact with others. With the new information I learned from this academy, I feel better prepared and looking forward to continue to serve the city of El Cajon and its community. Now to Victoria.
Hello, my name is Victoria Lasso, and I've worked for the City of El Cajon for almost 3 years now as a Rec 2 with instructional services. After having gone through the Leadership Academy, I have learned about the different types of leadership styles as well as the type of leader I am. By understanding all leadership types, I now have a better understanding of those around me. Along with this, I use those differences to work as an effective and collaborative team. Through the Leadership Academy, we have also been able to take these ideas and see them through the major players of our city, like the fire and police departments, public works, and city hall. The Leadership Academy has taught me valuable knowledge that I'm able to take with me while continuing to serve the city of El Cajon and in my future endeavors. Thank you, and now I want to give it over to Fabian.
Good afternoon. My name is Fabian Margot, and I was a part of Team Coalition before working for the city of El Cajon for the last 2.5 years. I began working as a Rec 1 and advanced to a Rec 2 position this year at Bostonia Recreation Center. Getting the opportunity to experience the Leadership Academy has allowed me to observe various traits that a leader possesses. I also learned that leadership comes in many different ways and is shown in different ways and is closely tied to certain personality traits and leadership styles of your peers. Knowing this will allow me to become a better leader and help others excel in their work. Throughout the academy, I acquired knowledge that will enable me to develop new skills and apply them in my everyday life and also in the workplace. Thank you. Now introducing Garrett.
Hello, everyone. My name is Garrett Shane. I've had the pleasure of serving the city of El Cajon for nearly 7 years now. I started working at the Ronald Reagan Community Center as a Recreation Specialist 1, and I am now a Recreation Specialist 3, or Lead Operations Director. In my time, I've had the opportunity and luxury to train and supervise staff that have truly made myself quite proud. But in this Leadership Academy, I learned how I could improve not only for myself, but for them. We analyzed various leadership styles and methods so we could become more adaptive and more capable. We saw and observed and learned skills that are relevant to cohesive and flexible teamwork. And I plan to bring the synergy that we saw in the Leadership Academy back to our department. With these skills, I can and will be a more effective leader so I can better serve my city and my staff. Thank you. I'd like to introduce Courtney.
Hello, my name is Courtney Zawal, and I've worked for the city of El Cajon for almost 5 years now. I started at the Dance Instructional Services and went on to gain experience teaching gymnastics, working as an inclusion aide, and much more. And in recent years, I started as an operational director, assisting the rec squad at Wells Park. And after having the privilege to participate in the Leadership Academy, I learned how our city works, and in doing so, I gained much more appreciation for our fellow citizens and workers. And with the resources we were taught about self-reflection and our leadership styles, I have a better idea of what my strengths and weaknesses are so I can make the most of my role and improve my ability to lead and be a part of a team. I also gain new skills concerning how to respond to emergency situations, as well as having an appropriate course of action for the challenges these types of situations present. All in all, I love this city and this job, and I'm very glad to be a part of it. And now I welcome Ben to come up and conclude our presentation.
At this time, I would like to say thank you to everyone involved in this academy. I know some of the graduates touched on it already, but one of the true highlights of this program is our ability to take our part-time staff behind the scenes of tours of different areas of the city, such as the El Cajon Police Department, Fire Station 6, the Public Works Yard, and City Hall, where they are able to ask pertinent questions and talk with experts in their fields. With that being said, the Leadership Academy would like to say a special thank you to each of the departments that made this possible. We truly appreciate the knowledge and insight you have shared with our graduates this year and look forward to planning the academy or the next academy. This concludes our presentation. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much for all you do. Any council members have questions or comments?
In my franchise world, we would have franchisees who would say, we're not getting anything for the value of the dues that we pay. Just homeowners could say the same thing. And I would say, you're right, you're not, because you're not taking advantage of the system that's been put before you. In the same way, the residents need to realize the system that's here for recreation and classes. It's tremendous value to do what you do. I'm proud to call myself one of Vabian's students in a pickleball class. I'm one of the 16 people left in the county who haven't played pickleball yet, so we're down to 15. He's a great instructor, and I think, Courtney, I think I was your student in a cooking class with my wife as well. Lots of great things to do, great value. You add a lot to our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Goebel.
Anybody else? All right. Well, thanks so much for coming and keep up the good work. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Now we have a presentation for the Fire Department ISO Class 1 designation. And Chief Coe, are you here? Hi, Chief.
Good afternoon, Mayor Wells, respected members of City Council and City staff. Before we get started, I do want to introduce you to Mr. Andy Bolton from ISO, and he is a senior field representative for Insurance Services Office. Before I get started, before I turn it over to Mr. Bolton, I just wanted to say it's a huge, huge honor to be able to get recertified as ISO Class 1 Fire Department. And it was a true collaborative effort. Once again, it took 18 months this time for us to be able to maintain our certification, and it would not have been possible without the support and collaboration from our communications center, from chief officers and fire prevention staff, and from Padre Dam and Helix Water. And last but not least, I want to have a special recognition for Deputy Fire Chief John Nevin, who was the project manager for this project, and his perseverance was the one that carried this project through. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Andy Bolton.
Thanks, Chief.
Mr. Bolton, welcome.
Yeah, as he said, my name is Andy Bolton. I'm coming from Verisk ISO. I've been working for the company for over 10 years as senior field rep. We're here today to just talk about the results of our recent evaluation. Not sure if any of you guys know, but you guys do this every about 5 years or so. And as the chief said, over the last year and a half or so, we've been under evaluation for the Heartland Fire District. ISO, just a little bit more about us. We measure the effectiveness of not just Heartland, obviously, but of 38,000 fire departments, plus or minus. The number goes up and down every year. But we have about 38,000 fire departments in our database, and we look at a community evaluation overall. We generally, what these results dictate is a Class 1 to a Class 10 scale. Class 1 is the best, Class 10 is the least, and what this normally means for the city is better fire protection loss or a better loss experience. If you look at the countrywide results, most agencies in the country actually fall in the Class 4 to 6 range. Class 5 is our average. And if you notice, there's only 502 Class 1s in the entire country. So out of 38,000, you guys are just about 2% of the population. It's a really admirable achievement given the fact that most agencies are nowhere near where you guys are at. Just as I said, it's a community evaluation, not just the fire department. We look at the communication centers, the water departments, building officials, fire prevention. I'm trying to think what else. And what we do is when we're evaluating this is based on nationally accepted standards like from APCO, NFPA, AWWA, the water side. And these are normal parts of the evaluation, but at the same time, we're not making up the rules as we go. This is a very deep dive on every one of these sides. It kind of talks about it a little bit right here. We look about where the communication centers are. How the communication centers operate, where the fire stations are. We look at fire prevention at the fire department. We look at the training, the documentation, everything at the water side. We look at hydrants, where they are, how much they can handle, what the flow test results are. And the community risk reduction, we do a lot of fire prevention stuff, so inspections, annual inspections, investigations, public education, outreach. You guys are probably aware of what the fire department can do. So overall, a common question we get is like, what does this mean for my city? How does this work? As I said, it's really twofold. The first one is that you have a better fire loss experience. When a fire starts, the idea is that it doesn't expand more than what it needs to. If a fire starts in the garage, hopefully it stays in the garage. So most importantly, people don't lose their stuff. They don't lose their livelihood or their life is really the intention. On the second hand, there's actually another piece that matters to this, is that it saves dollars and cents. About a Class 1 agency keeps the cost of insurance down below what the national average is for everyone else. So to me, I think this is a huge accomplishment for the city. Most cities can't do this. As I said, only 2% of the population maintain this. So, at least I know everybody's trying to save money on insurance at all times, but the fire department's doing what they're supposed to do. So basically what this has really come down to is congratulations to the fire department. They've been able to accomplish quite a lot. I have a plaque here that we're going to give. This is not the first time that Heartland's done this, but this is the first time they're receiving the plaque. So, congratulations to the city of Lemongrove, La Mesa, and El Cajon, of course, and congratulations, Chief. Pass it around. Is there anybody who wants to go away?
We're going to need some more walls because you're getting so many awards, Chief.
Wow, that's very impressive. You want it back? Am I going to keep this? Okay. If you insist, I'll bring it back. We'll have somebody bring it back to you. But thank you very much. We're extremely proud of our fire department and all the hard work that I know it's the people that make it work. So thank you so much.
Thank you. We wouldn't be able to do this without the support of our elected officials, the city staff. It is a team effort. It's a true team effort, and without the support of the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Andy. For the last two items, I'll invite the City Council to join me below to present two commendations. The first one will be for our beloved City Attorney, Morgan Foley. Well, we've come to the time when Morgan has decided to retire and to leave us. Well-deserved. And before I read this commendation, would you like to say a couple of words?
Well, I didn't expect this meeting to be so long in the agenda, so
Doesn't matter.
I'll cut my comments in half.
Well, then I might have to interview you. When did you start in the city of El Cajon?
I started working in El Cajon in 1998 when my family and I came down here from Visalia. I'd been a city attorney in Porterville and Visalia up there when we left, and I was an assistant city attorney then when Lynn McDougal retired, I took over in July of year 2000 as your city attorney.
Yeah, and I came on the scene just a little bit later, and you've been here the whole time guiding all of us. We've been through some tough times together. We've been in the trenches and had some big problems that we, for the most part, solved, and it really couldn't have done it without you.
Well, thank you.
So we've got a commendation for him.
Now, you read all of Elizabeth's, so you're going to read all mine?
I'm going to read it twice because whereas City Attorney Morgan Foley has dedicated over 27 years of outstanding service to the City of El Cajon, providing steadfast legal counsel and leadership that have shaped the foundation of ethical governance, transparency, and public trust within the city. And whereas in a 40-year legal career as an attorney, Mr. Foley was in private practice in Visalia, California from 1985 to 1998, specializing in municipal law. He served as city attorney for the city of Visalia from 1996 to 1998 and for the city of Porterville from 1990 to 1998. Mr. Foley holds a bachelor's degree in political science from the University of California at Berkeley and a Juris Doctor from Santa Clara University School of Law, reflecting a lifelong commitment of professional growth, legal excellence, and public service. And whereas Mr. Foley began his tenure with the City of El Cajon in April of 1998 as assistant city attorney and was appointed to city attorney in July of 2000. Just keep going.
Really could have cut in half if you would have let you read that.
We're not even. We're Through the years, he has served with distinction in the city attorney's office, demonstrating exceptional skill in all aspects of municipal law, contracts, land use, and public policy. And whereas in addition to his service with the City of El Cajon, Foley also served as city attorney for the cities of Poway and Coronado for a combined 17 years of his tenure here in El Cajon, and as general counsel for the North County Dispatch Joint Powers Authority and legal advisor for the San Diego County Civic Service Commission, reflecting his regional leadership and trusted reputation amongst his peers. And whereas Mr. Foley has guided the city through countless complex legal matters, major development projects, and critical policy initiatives, ensuring the city's decisions are rooted in sound legal principles and in the best interests of the community. Under his counsel, the city has navigated evolving legislation, emerging technologies, and challenges that have defined a generation of municipal governance. And whereas, in addition to his municipal service, Mr. Foley is a principal at McDougall, Bomer, Foley, Lyon, Mitchell, and Erickson, where he has shared his extensive experience in municipal law, civil appeals and writs, trusts and estates, and special districts, encouraging dozens of aspiring lawyers and further enriching his expertise and contributions to the city. And whereas he's demonstrated exceptional leadership within the broader municipal and legal community, serving as past chair of the League of California Cities and as past chair of the League of California Cities Attorneys Department, California Public Records Act, FPPC, and legal advocacy committees. In addition, Mr. Foley held leadership roles in the City Attorneys Association of San Diego, where he is a two-time past president, helping to mentor colleagues and promote best practices in municipal law. And whereas beyond his professional achievements, Mr. Foley is admired as a mentor, colleague, and friend, sharing his journey with his wife of 42 years, Sandy, and their three children, Daniel, Connor, and Avery, who have supported him throughout his remarkable career. Now, therefore, I, Bill Wells, the mayor of the City of El Cajon, together with the City Council, do hereby extend our deepest appreciation to City Attorney Morgan Foley for his 27 years of exemplary service. Thank you, Morgan. Thank you. Would you like to introduce your family? I'm going to pass this down because I know everybody wants to say something to you.
I've known Morgan since he started here, and one thing that was left out of this resolution is that he's just a really great guy. He's a fantastic city attorney, and he keeps us all out of jail.
Morgan, what a great career in public service. That's very admirable. I think one of perhaps the highlights, the lasting impacts you'll leave on all of us is the city going through the charter city process. That was a huge change for how we govern in El Cajon, and it's great to have your handprint on that.
Morgan, thank you for always being there for us, guiding us, making sure that we're doing the right thing, and keeping us out of trouble. As Mr. Kendrick said, congratulations on your retirement. Enjoy your time off. I know that it'll be an adjustment.
Morgan, I want to thank you for being a shepherd for the city of El Cajon for so many years. You have handled the city with the utmost integrity and honor, keeping the city above reproach, not even a hint of impropriety. And that trust that you have baked into the city helps the citizens trust our government. And that is essential to have a legitimate form of government. And you've been that pillar for 27 years, probably even longer. So I can't thank you enough. And side note, you taught me, I think, what the Grateful Dead's symbol is. I had no clue what it was, but they call them deadheads, right? Yep. So that's the first thing he taught me as a city attorney is about the Grateful Dead logo. So I'll be missing our yeah, amongst other things. So thank you, Morgan. Your service is exemplary, and the entire city for generations can thank you for that. So we appreciate it.
Isn't the Grateful Dead Berkeley's mascot? Yeah, just about. Yeah. Last chance.
Well, I should probably thank everybody that's been a part of my career here. I started out with probably a whole different executive team. There's been turnover in every department, and this is the first turnover in a while from our department. But it's always been a good group to work with, good colleagues, and very supportive of our department. I got to say that all the rest of the employees of this community, this city, have been a wonderful, welcoming group, and they continue to be so. To the youngest, or I say youngest, of those that are starting out here, I wish them all the best, and to hang tough. You'll find that you're going to excel in your profession just by virtue of the fact you're working with excellent people here at the community. Thank you.
A big round of applause for our It's been a pleasure.
Morgan, you can post this on your TikTok account.
Okay. Now, and last but certainly not least is, would Tony Shute please come join us? Tony, we have a commendation for you. And with your permission, I'd like to read it. Please, thank you. Whereas Community Development Director Anthony Shute has dedicated over 29 years of outstanding service to the city of El Cajon, providing extraordinary leadership, creative thinking, and thoughtful problem solving that have shaped the development of the city. And whereas in a public service career of more than 40 years, Shute has worked for the city of La Mesa prior to El Cajon, and served in the United States Air Force and California Air National Guard. Mr. Shute holds a bachelor's degree in geography and a master's degree in city planning from San Diego State University, reflecting a lifelong commitment to professional growth and public service. Whereas Mr. Shute began his tenure with the city of El Cajon in March of 1996 as a junior planner, he was promoted to assistant planner, associate planner, and senior planner, and then planning manager, deputy director, and in July of 2017 became the director of community development. Through the years, he has served with distinction in community development, demonstrating exceptional skill in all aspects of public administration, city planning, environmental law, land use, and policy development. Hold on. You've done too many things. It just keeps going.
It's a lot shorter than the
Okay. And whereas Mr. Shute has managed major development projects, regulatory initiatives, and has been instrumental in creating a streamlined permitting process in the best interests of the city and development community. And whereas beyond his professional achievements, Mr. Shute is admired as a mentor, colleague, and friend, sharing his journey with his wife, Melissa, and their 3 children, Alex, Maddie, and Nick, who have supported him throughout his remarkable career. Now, therefore, I, Bill Wells, Mayor of the City of El Cajon, together with the City Council, do hereby extend our deepest appreciation to Community Development Director Anthony Shute for more than 29 years of exemplary service, visionary leadership, and steadfast commitment to the City of El Cajon. We congratulate him on his retirement and wish him continued success and happiness and fulfillment in all his future endeavors. Signed this 9th day of December, 2025. 29 years is a long time. You're lucky that back then we could hire 10-year-olds to be junior planners. So would you like to say a few words?
I just want to express my sincere gratitude first to my family, especially my wife, Melissa, and my daughter, Madeline, and my son, Nick, my son-in-law, Matt, and my grandson, Magnus, who's running around right there in front. And to my surprise, my sister-in-law, Julie, and my brother-in-law, Dan, came to visit. So it was a nice surprise. Also want to extend my gratitude to all the departments and the staff that I've worked with over the many years here. We've worked together and over many challenges to try to make a better city. And to the community development staff, best staff in the city, and also to the Planning Commission and the City Manager's Office for the support, and of course to the City Council and their decision-making in helping our department as well as the other departments create and build a better city. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank goodness ChatGPT is around, because if I had a question, I could just ask Tony, and AskTony.com was there before ChatGPT.com. He knew the answer. He knew the code upside down and backwards. This is a great servant. Thank you.
Tony is very special in this city. There's nobody else like him. He knows everything, code back and forth, and I could call him, and he would have the answers right away, and he's just a really great guy.
Well, Tony, I want to thank you for helping me so much and for being so trustworthy. I consider you a friend and somebody who I think has been instrumental in making the city what it is today, and I can't thank you enough.
Tony, thank you so much. We didn't get to interact as much as some of the others, but I think that you have been a great influence on the city and have set some guidelines for for your department to continue on the great work. Thank you so much.
Tony, planning and development is my least favorite department at the city, being the resident libertarian. But I have to tell you, one of the stories that you told me, you and your staff would have got, one of our developers came in, and at any other city in the nation, they would have kicked him out of the office, say, try again. Someone came in with doing plans of tenant improvements pretty much on a cocktail napkin, trying to submit it to the city. And instead of sending them out, our planning department, Tony leading it, said, well, hold on, let me work with you. And let me try and figure out what you're trying to do. And you go above and beyond, along with all of your staff, to be thoughtful, to be resident focused, because you understand the impact that it makes on our community and our city, that when people can build, people can develop, bring businesses to our city, it makes it better. So it's going to be hard to replace you in your brain, because it's never ending with all of your knowledge. So thank you very much, Tony, for your service.
Let's have a big round of applause for Tony Shute.
Mayor, with your permission, I'd like to say a few words on behalf of the executive staff, and I know Mr. Mitchell wants to as well, about both City Attorney Morgan Foley and Tony Shute. I want to just start by saying, in talking about Morgan, I want to start by giving you an idea about what a typical conversation between Morgan and I is, and that is, "Hey Morgan, can you take a look at this law for me?" "Sure, Vince." Now, Morgan, I think this law says this, and I think we can do this thing that I was thinking about doing, because let me tell you why. "No, Vince, I'm the city attorney. I'm not going to be the assistant city manager, but you don't be the city attorney." In all seriousness, though, while conversations like this did happen from time to time, Morgan was always professional, collegial, friendly. I've never had a cross word with Morgan. He is a consummate professional when it comes to law and interpretation. And when we were done talking about serious law issues, we found all the commonalities that we had. We talked about golf. We talked about baseball. We talked about football. And when we talked baseball, we would specifically talk about the Dodgers and Padres. And he was kind enough to take me along to several Dodger-Padre games. And fortunately for him, on the last one we went to, the Padres won. I think that was his way of kind of closing out that part of our relationship, I suppose. But I will miss our conversations. I will miss your guidance and your approach to legal issues that have guided me. So many initiatives that I've brought before the City Council, and I wish you the best. And I hope that you pay us a visit every now and again. Let me briefly say a couple of words about Tony, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Mitchell. I wrote a couple of days ago on Tony's card that if there were a Mount Rushmore to City of El Cajon employees, Tony would be on it. He did two notable things that I think the public should be made aware of. He's done many things in 29 years, but two notable things in particular stand out. Number one, he demanded high standards from developers with new development projects. When developers would argue about this and say, "Look, it's just El Cajon," he didn't accept that, and he demanded higher standards, better development. That's number one. Number two, he oversaw the creation of several specific plan areas throughout the city and numerous zoning code amendments that deregulated the land use process and pushed approval down to the staff level when appropriate. So in doing those two things throughout the course of his career, specifically as director, he created a balance of build high quality projects and you'll get through the process faster. Having started my own career as a planner, I understood Tony's motivations and goals, and that led to many productive conversations as I sought to help him where I could in the oversight of the department. And it also led to some colorful disagreements, which were also kind of fun. Above all else, though, I have the distinct pleasure of calling him my friend. He's a man who's dedicated to his family and strong in his faith. El Cajon was indeed lucky to have someone of his considerable talent, and he will be missed. Tony, have a wonderful retirement.
Vince failed to mention that him and Tony are the only two Dodger fans in the city of El Cajon.
Yeah.
And so they would get together and either rub it in or commiserate a loss. So it was after a loss, you could always find Tony in Vince's office, and they'd be weeping about the day before. So I actually knew both of these individuals before I came to the city of El Cajon. When I came to San Diego County in 2003 to become the city manager for the city of Lemon Grove, Morgan was the interim acting emergency city attorney at that time for the city of Lemon Grove, and he actually helped negotiate my contract with the city of Lemon Grove. And so I've known Morgan since then, and then prior to coming to El Cajon, I had a chance to meet Tony on several occasions. And I've always admired them, and one of the reasons I really wanted to be in El Cajon is to work with these people. Just amazing staff that you've been able to have. Mr. Goebel, you must have overheard me talking about ChatGPT, because I refer to these as the El Cajon ChatGPT, because you go, hey, there's a corner of so-and-so and so-and-so. Before I can even ask the question, Tony or Morgan say, oh, this is what happened. This is how the council voted in 2014, and they know the whole history. That is going to be greatly missed. Filling the void that both of them are going to leave will be pretty difficult. But we'll power on, and we're grateful for them. And as a city manager who pushes back on a lot of legal and community development things, I know I've probably stressed them out on many occasions. I greatly appreciate their professionalism and their support for me and for the city council and for this amazing community. So thank you to both of them.
Okay. Thank you very much. I know that a lot of you are here for these presentations, and state law says that if you come for part of the council meeting, you must stay for all of it. So, but we'll break the law today and let you exit if you'd like to go home now and not hear about all the other exciting agenda items. All right. We're now consent items. Consent items are routine matters enacted by one motion according to the recommendation listed below. With the concurrence of the City Council, a council member or person in attendance.
Mayor, one more chance. You skipped over agenda changes, if there are any.
Did I skip over agenda? Are there any agenda changes?
I actually got one.
Okay.
We'd like to actually pull agenda item or item number 16, which is the 5-year business plan, which is really the budget projection. There's some numbers that we want to double check before we read this into the record. So we'll pull that, and I will actually present, or Mr. Shane will present some of that data at our goal setting workshop, and then we'll present it at another council meeting later on. I also put onto the agenda item number 31, which is a closed session item. That's on there in the event that the city council wants to talk about the city employment agreement in closed session before you consider that. So if there's something that the council wants to discuss before considering agenda 19, we can convene into closed session and then come back out. If it's not needed, then when we get to closed session, I would just recommend we pass on that agenda item.
Okay. Well, please remind me when we get there to. You guys can think about whether or not you want to have a meeting on that. All right, Council, do you have any changes to the agenda? All right, it brings us back to consent items, which are routine matters enacted by one motion according to the recommendation listed below. With the concurrence of the City Council, a council member or person in attendance may request discussion of a consent item at this time. Council members, do you wish to pull any of the consent items? Mr. Goebel would like to pull which one?
4.
And anybody else? Staff, do you wish to pull any consent items?
No, sir.
Let's go ahead and talk about number 4 since we're here.
It's probably one of the most visible parts of city government is the condition of the roads. And I think in the past year, we've just had probably 2 years, we've had a tremendous amount of paving going on in some of the key streets, Broadway and Washington, and probably other things I can't even think of at the moment, Magnolia, Madison. Eagle Paving has done a great job. I was aware on 2nd Street when they were in front of the post office near Peach, and they knocked that out in about 2 days, I think, with minimal disruption to traffic. They had flaggers, they had people directing traffic. So kudos to our engineering and public works people and to Eagle Paving for delivering a great product for the people of El Cajon. It just looks so much better. So with that, I know we still have some potential public comment, but I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Yeah, I'm going to keep that motion on the table. Let's ask about public comment. Is there any public comment on this?
We have no speakers, sir.
Then there's a motion on the table. I'm looking for a second. Second. All right, please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
We're now at public comment. At this time, any person may address a matter within the jurisdiction of the City Council, Housing Authority, successor agency to the El Cajon Redevelopment Agency that is not on the agenda. Comments relating to items on today's agenda are to be taken at the time that the item is heard. State law prohibits discussion or action on items not on the agenda. However, City Council and Housing Authority members may briefly respond to statements or questions, and an item may be placed on a future agenda. Angela, do we have any speaker cards or public comment?
Sir, we have one, and it's from Dr. Alan Nordholm and Mr. Don Miller.
You want to do this separately or together?
We're tag team.
Okay, you're an act.
Yeah, we're going to do it together.
Yeah, okay, good. You please please do.
I understand we have 3 minutes, so I'll be brief, and he'll come in after me. As I've commented before, the importance of the City Council is the protection and safety of our citizenry, and everybody shook their head north and south when I said that last time. We have a growing challenge in our city, and Mr. Goebel and Mr. Mitchell have been keen on a couple of email posts related to a transitional living situation in our neighborhood. I'm not going to dox the people because you two know where this address is, but they've had over 60 calls to this particular house. 38 of them are related to fire incidents. And this is a drain on city resources in my mind. And so I understand there are some left and right boundaries related to what we can actually do in these places, but I think it's time that the city, and Mr. Mitchell, I know you have a dashboard that you've been looking at, and so that's how I think you pulled the data for this particular residence. A dashboard is useless unless there's actionable intelligence related to it. And I look at this as not, I don't know what the right solution is, and again, Mr. Mayor Wells, I know you're a mental health provider, you have that in your background. Our goal is not to shut these places down, but there has to be some regulation. And I think Mr. Miller would like to speak to the most recent event that happened, because we have a multicultural area of El Cajon, and there are people from all over the world that stay there. Mr. Goebel, you know this. And they see things happening in the neighborhood, and it spooks them. It gets them scared. And so our goal is to sort of figure out what the right answer is for this. Mr. Miller.
First, Steve, I want to thank you for getting back to me as quick as you have been. The thing I want to point out is there was an incident in October. I'm not going to pull the dates. You guys know the dates. October at 2:37 in the morning, when we had several El Cajon PD cars come, lights flashing, blocking off streets and stuff. Like Ms. Norm said, we have multicultural people in here, and I had to personally go explain to these people from their country, where they're from, and what's going on, what's happening. And they're scared. You already know what is happening overseas in these countries with weapons drawn and all this. And now we're trying to put them at ease. So at 2:37 a.m. in October, then in approximately 3 p.m., where we had 5 El Cajon PDs come with sirens, had weapons drawn, and had the shields pulled. And then when I looked at the incident, said it was one of the residents of this home coming after one of the caretakers with a cane. When do we send people in with weapons drawn and shields up for just a cane? Something's going on there. I've been a resident there. I've been a resident of El Cajon since '82. Residents there where I'm at now in Olive Hills since 2013. And we've even had some of the so-called residents of this house out in public, defecating in public. And so there's a lot of young children. I'd say ranges anywhere from 3 to 12 to 15. They're up and down this road, and we have this kind of activity. It's just, it has to stop. It really does. So we really need to look into, and like I said, you guys know your budget, and it's draining a resource on this city. It's a beautiful city to live in. Let's keep it that way is all I'm asking.
Well, let's talk about this for a few minutes. First off, I want to tell you that, so I started in mental health in '88. My whole focus has been on emergency psychiatric medicine, so I know this population. This is not the first time I've heard this. Even as a clinician, I would sometimes go out and see people in these places, and the neighbors would come up to me and say, "Why is this happening? Why? There's ambulances here every night." And then later on, when I got to city council, we're learning more about this. I realize that much of this is out of our hands in the sense that the state of California, just like homeless policy and a lot of other policies, they make policies that we have to abide by law. Having said that, I'd like to ask our city manager to kind of speak to that. And there are some things that we can do. And Graham, I'd like to ask your thoughts on this.
Certainly, we're very aware of this property. Actually, a letter went out, and these gentlemen know about that. We've cited them on 3 different counts of some code violations. The owner has 6 more days to respond and make improvements. If that does not happen, then we'll begin the citation process. So we're actively code enforcementing them right now. To that point, that's as much as we can do. As the mayor said, our hands are tied. The state has taken away a lot of ability for us to regulate these independent living facilities that are small scale, which this is one of those. We believe that the majority of the calls are coming from one individual. So if we can maybe help her get some mental health or some diversion, that may help with a lot of the issues there. So we're actively working on this.
I would just like to say thank you, and thank you for doing that. But quite frankly, if the city council is not the place to begin this process, there has to be a process, because I'm sure this is not the only residence in the area, but maybe it is. What do I know? But if this is not the right forum, then who do we address in the state legislature? And I think that's what I'm trying to say is what are our boundaries here, and how do we move it forward?
I'd be talking to our local assembly members.
I know who that is, and I can tell you that probably will go nowhere.
You might try.
But I think it would be good for the city to put its imprimatur on that and say, you've passed these regulations in state law.
I tell you what I'd be happy to do. I got to run it by the city council, but I'm going to speak out of turn and say we'd be happy to send a letter to our state representatives and ask them to look into your situation specifically, and then make an appeal more broadly, saying that having regulations doesn't mean that we're discriminating against or treating people badly. It's just you have to have order. And I think everybody on this dais completely agrees with that. So we'd be glad to do everything, including send letters and partner with you on this process. But in the end, it's up to Sacramento.
I understand, and we're fighting a battle at that level.
I know.
Because we emptied our hospitals into the community.
It is exactly right. So, just to put it in perspective, we have 100 beds at county mental health. The city is the county is 3.5 million people. Statistically, 1% of all populations have schizophrenia.
Right.
Schizophrenia means you can't work or take care of yourself. You're disabled.
Right.
So that means 35,000 people with schizophrenia in San Diego County alone, and we have 100 beds. That doesn't account for all the people with bipolar disorder, anxiety, depression, suicidality, drug and alcohol abuse problems. It is like trying to drain the ocean with a teacup.
Right.
And but these things don't get solved unless people stand up and demand changes.
Correct.
So, I appreciate you being here.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. And we'll work with Mr. Goebel on how we move forward. I think he's our representative in our area.
And you can also call me. I'm happy to help. Let me see if there's anybody else who wants to address the situation. Mr. Goebel, you first up.
Excuse me, Mayor. Before we get too far in the weeds, this is public comment, and so no decisions should be made and action taken.
Understood.
68 calls this year from January through, I think, the end of November to that address for fire and police.
Fire and policemen here that have to respond. It drains resources.
Oh, they know that. They're the source of the data.
Yeah.
So there are state licensing things that we can't do, but what we can do, we do have jurisdiction over the condition of the living space. And as the city manager mentioned, that is something we can do. I think also city staff in the past, whether it be police, fire, or city staff, has gone to a resident who might, to speak with that resident, to say, look, this is just not good for everybody. And I think in a very civil, non-accusatory, but productive way, they can open the conversation to sometimes make that person realize, wow, I didn't realize we had called 68 times. And I do think it is down to one person. I've received emails from that person, and I think we're on the right track, and we're trying the jurisdiction that we have to do that.
Sure.
I think there is action going on.
No, and I don't want to say that we're not appreciative of that, because we're familiar with some of it that's going on. But this happens when you have and I don't know where the owner is of this particular property, but I suspect he might be overseas. At least that was my understanding. And so you have a person who owns a property who lives overseas, so it's not easily addressable to that owner. Do you know what I mean? And so just some things, I think there are some ways, and we should look at this, on how within the city confines, outside of the state challenges, can address these sorts of issues to the public. Because again, your goal is a safe public citizenry.
And there has to be an on-site manager, regardless of who owns the property. And that person,
I'd be curious to know who that might be.
I think that's worth having a conversation with, just to make that person aware of what's going on in the city.
Yeah, again, this is not to discriminate people who have these issues. I'm actually a mental health provider type person. You didn't know that, but I am.
No.
So I understand what they're going through. I remember Reagan early on starting to get things out of the mental health system. So I'm familiar with it, and we need to be supportive of them, but there has to be some boundaries around it, frankly.
This is more to the city manager, and thank you for bringing this to our attention. Could you give us a briefing this coming week about the incidents? I'm familiar with the property and everything, just to get everybody up.
I'll
to
get an
speed.
email out to the city council.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'd be curious how many others are out there in the community that may not, if it's unregulated, how do you know how many are there? That's a challenge for you as the city council and leaders in our city.
Yes.
Thank you very much for your time.
Gentlemen, thank you for coming. We'll work through this.
No other speaker cards, sir.
Okay, then. We have no written communications on today's agenda, and there are no public hearings on today's agenda. We have 10 administrative reports on today's agenda. Item 11 is for the selection of deputy mayor for the 2026 calendar year. City Manager Mitchell will tell us about this.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council. Our municipal code states that each December the City Council shall meet and rotate or choose one of you to be the deputy mayor or the mayor pro tem. Historically, we've had a rotation of that, and if we were to follow that rotation, it would be Ms. Mitchell's turn to serve as the deputy mayor. And so staff is here to entertain how the City Council wants to move forward in your rotation.
Okay. First off, are there any speaker cards on this item?
No speaker cards, sir.
Okay, so it's back to us. I mean, I just recommend that we follow the rotation. Did I make that a motion?
Second.
Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
Okay, well, that was quick and easy. Item 12 is for an all-way stop sign request on East Lexington Avenue at Taft Avenue. And staff, will you please tell us about this?
These are typically presented by Mario Sanchez, so please bear with me. I'm helping get some things off his plate. Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor and Council members. My name is Olga Reyes, Principal Civil Engineer in the Traffic Division. This is a request for installation of a permanent all-way stop on East Lexington Avenue at the intersection of Taft Avenue. This all-way stop is being requested to enhance pedestrian and traffic safety, along with address nearby resident concerns of vehicles traveling in excessive speeds. In this slide that you see here, I'm showing you a vicinity map of the area. For reference, East Lexington Avenue is an east-west residential collector street with mixed use of both residential and commercial properties. East Lexington Avenue has a speed limit of 35 miles per hour. Existing stop signs on Taft Avenue control this intersection with no stop signs at East Lexington Avenue. And approximately 10,000 vehicles per day travel through this intersection. On this next slide, I'm showing you a photograph of the intersection while you're viewing north, just to give you guys a perspective. And then in this next slide, I'm showing you photos viewing west and east while you're looking northbound at the intersection to demonstrate the available corner sight distance. This next slide shows a photograph of the intersection while you're looking southbound. And then same situation as the previous. On this next one, I'm showing you photos as you're looking east and west while you're looking southbound at the intersection, once again, to demonstrate to you the available corner sight distance. Now, per the California Highway Design Manual, the minimum corner sight distance for a street with a posted speed limit of 35 miles per hour is desirable to be 385 feet. A field investigation revealed that the available corner sight distance for vehicle traveling from Taft Avenue to safely enter onto East Lexington Avenue is less than the desirable requirement. And additionally, city research records reveal that 6 collisions have occurred at this intersection in the past 5 years, with the majority of them being broadside collisions, also known as T-bones. And just for reference, the majority of them have happened midday. So this next slide, again, just for reference, I'm showing you the intersection while you're viewing east. And then this next one is the same thing, but while you're viewing west. This next slide shows the proposed installation of always stop signs on the East Lexington Avenue at the intersection of Taft Avenue. Just to give you reference, the City of El Cajon follows the California Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices, MUTCD, and uses a point system that was developed by the City of San Diego to evaluate the need for the installation of always stop signs. Criteria used for determination are existing site conditions, traffic volumes, site distance obstructions, proximity to schools, and accident history. A minimum of 30 points out of 50 is normally required for installation. The results for this particular intersection, we tallied up 37 points. So in conclusion, always stop signs are traffic calming measures that help reduce speeds and facilitate the movement of pedestrians and traffic flow in the vicinity of intersections such as East Lexington Avenue and Taft Avenue. Based on this information, staff recommends that the City Council approve the installation of an always stop sign.
Thank you very much.
And now I'll entertain any questions.
Go ahead, Michelle.
Thank you for the report. Question, approximately how many hours does it take staff for each request for an always stop sign?
Well, it depends on the queue because we typically get an abundant amount of speeding requests. So when we get those, we take a look at the past history. We have to look into our records. As I mentioned, we got to look at collisions. We got to get our traffic volumes. We got to look into the site conditions, whether it's close to the school, what the difference is between the major road and the minor road.
Right.
So it takes, I want to say, I typically, when we answer on our My Civic Request app, we typically tell the resident 4 to 6 weeks for the complete traffic study.
Okay.
And then it takes a little while then to prepare the report and bring it to you guys and get it approved.
Okay, thank you. And the reason why I asked that is not to test your knowledge, but just to kind of get a better idea of how long it takes from the time that the problem arises till we can, come to council and request that. I think that this is a good thing, and I think it's a good use of your time in some respects. 6 accidents, midday, and not in the middle of the day. So I think that we're probably going to see a lot more of these coming through because we have such a diverse community and we have a lot that are coming in trying to assimilate to new driving laws and bicycle laws and walking laws and pedestrians. I think that the always stops are needed in quite a few more places. So thank you for that information.
I definitely think that when we run the calculator, the point system that was ran by the city of San Diego, that gives us a good basis. But
Right.
it's not to say that we have not installed an always stop where maybe the numbers weren't there, but based on our engineering judgment, then we can safely say, yes, I think this warrants for one.
Right, and I think your, that statement right there kind of goes for the next item on
Yes.
Pepper Villa.
Yes, yes, that is
So
correct.
thank you, because I read that in the agenda. Thank you very much.
Mr. Goble?
A question for the city manager. Olga, thank you very much. I see that we're going to be doing some striping and painting. Is this an opportunity to paint some red curbs for the daylighting clearance law? You know, as long as we're there with paint, can we hit those curbs at the corner with red?
I don't know that. Once you do it, then there's ongoing maintenance. I can't give you the answer. I'd have to talk to staff to see what their thoughts are on that.
It seems like a common sense thing to do if we know that visibility at some of these corners is tough when cars park almost close to the ADA ramp. As long as you're there doing the work, I'm not saying we do it for every intersection, but as long as you have the paint bucket out to put a stop sign down, maybe you consider the daylighting law to make it safe for everybody going forward.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Thanks very much. I appreciate you coming in. We'll have we'll bring you up in just a second. Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it. Okay, any speaker cards on this item?
No speaker cards, sir.
I think we do have a speaker card. There's a young lady in the audience who would like to come and speak.
One that wrote the email about 6 weeks ago.
Can you tell us your name?
Oh, I'm sorry. My name is Nay Barraza. I live on the corner of Taft and Lexington. I've lived in East County my entire life. And so I've lived, when I was growing up poor, I lived in higher end neighborhoods, and now I'm on the corner, and I've been there for 5.5 years. I don't know where you got your statistics on the accidents. We have had 7 since the 4th of July, with a physical altercation on the 4th of July. I have photos in here in the last 10 days, 2 T-bones, and today when they tried to avoid, and there was a 3-page letter I was told to write because I had been submitting through the website. So my statement's twofold. With that being said, the point is today to avoid an accident, a roofing company dropped their load. So I don't know how the 6s or how they got their information. There's been more. And the problem is it's ongoing. And I'd like to ask a question. I know that Lexington and Maine divide the 2 councils, districts, whatever. But unfortunately, from the beginning of El Cajon Boulevard till you cross Hamishaw, with the exception of our intersection, every corner has a 4-way stop. In fact, when you get to social services, the old welfare building, it even is lit up around the stop. So my request, actually as a comment or a statement, is why has this not been addressed prior? Because if the entire street has 4-way stops all the way down, how did ours get missed? We have the fire department 1 block down that's constantly racing down. People can't see, which brings me back to the second part of my statement. Now we have lower economic areas and we have higher end. I'm driving to my granddaughter's soccer game, realizing, just like you said about the painting, people don't know if they don't see a red zone not to park. And that's the problem. You are scooting out. And the police officer in the letter that I wrote, in the 7 minutes, a post office truck almost got taken out, and he was sitting on the corner, as did another accident, in 7 minutes. He told me he was there to deter accidents. Well, if you can't see, you can't see, whether he's sitting there or not. But as I'm driving down Lexington, I'm noting there's no red painted spots anywhere until I cross Hamishaw. And when I cross Hamishaw, I'm in Granite Hills, a very nicer neighborhood. And I'm noticing new paint, and it's painted on both sides. So I'm asking you, just with some, as he said, common sense, paint the curbs while you're there. It's going to cost someone their life, and I'm watching it.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Because it's not on the agenda, we can't get into things that aren't on the agenda.
Fine, but you should be aware of the facts.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I appreciate bringing it up. My question is, and I think I know the answer, you are in favor of the four-way stop.
I am in favor, but I'm also in favor of that if you can paint one side of Lexington, I don't see why you wouldn't have painted the rest of it going down where there's more people, because when you cross Hamishaw, you have mostly houses.
Yeah,
so how did you find the time to paint down here, but not up here where there's more people, where it would keep us safer? And I'm sure that's what all of you want, is safer people in El Cajon.
Yeah, no, I appreciate
Because
that.
if it comes up as negligence, that opens a very bad spot for the city. And that's how I'm feeling, because I have been asking through your website since last summer, a year and a half ago. I asked this summer twice, and it was resolved, closed. How do you resolve and close when you're not telling me what you're doing? It's when I wrote basically a 3-page letter to the engineering department after whoever answered the mayor's phone told me that's what I needed to do. Well, if I had known that's what I needed to do, we could have avoided all the accidents that have happened for the last year and a half. And I know that you guys are aware of it. I know because you come get our video from our complex. So someone's not being honest, I'll leave it at that, with what you're announcing in here today, with not knowing that there's more than 6 accidents in the last 5 years. So I thank you all for your time.
So
I hope you
just
vote.
to make sure, you're in favor of this.
I am very much.
Okay.
I wrote the letter.
Great. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
the speaker brings up a good point that I think bears clarification, because I brought up the exact same point we've had, I don't know how many, half a dozen of these situations where it's speeding and we need to put in measures to slow it down because it's a neighborhood, where on the report, it'll say 6 accidents. I believe it's only 6 reported accidents. Is that right?
That's great. We don't have omniscience, so we can only base on when an accident happens and it's reported, it goes into a system, and that's Ms. Reyes refers to that report. So we get that. But if accidents happen, which they do all the time, and they don't get reported, then we just don't know about them.
Wait. 911 was called on every single of those last 7 calls. So in the last, since the 4th of July, are you saying that you don't log it from 911? How do you log it then?
So
if there's I believe if there's a police report, it's logged.
But if
Is
they
that right?
come out, wouldn't that mean that they're making a report?
If the police come out, they're
It would
going to be
depend.
making a report, yes.
Okay.
No, I don't.
I
don't know, but
as interesting as discussion is, we have a long agenda. I want to avoid getting into a workshop on public safety.
I wanted
right
to
now.
point that out because whenever these come across the council's desk, I'm under the assumption that it's not just 6 accidents. I'm under the assumption that it's more accidents that are unreported. And so if it's...
She also said it's less than the 300 square feet. She didn't give the amount, but she said it also doesn't meet the minimum. So this is just a really bad situation. I hope you all vote yes on it, and we can get a timetable, too, when that 4-way is going to go in. So I thank you for your time.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate you coming. Okay, are any more public speakers?
No cards submitted, sir.
Okay. Hold on one second. I want to make sure I'm not missing something here. Yeah, I'll bring it back to City Council then, discussion, and I'm looking for a motion.
Move adoption. Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any other comments? All right, please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
Great. All right, item 13 is for an all-way stop sign request on Pepper Via Drive at Flint Street. The staff will tell us about this one.
So This next one is for Peppervilla Drive at the intersection of Flint Street. Once again, Olga Reyes, Principal Civil Engineer in the Traffic Division. This is a request for permanent always stop at Peppervilla Drive at the intersection of Flint Street. This always stop is also being requested to enhance pedestrian and traffic safety, along with address nearby resident concerns of vehicles traveling at excessive speeds. So same situation as the previous presentation. I'm giving you a vicinity map of the area. For reference, Peppervilla Drive is a north-south residential collector street, which southern terminus extends from Pepper Drive on the north to East Bradley Avenue on the south. Peppervilla Drive has a residential speed limit of 25 miles per hour based on the California Vehicle Code. Currently, the intersection of Peppervilla Drive and Flint Street is an uncontrolled intersection, and approximately 600 vehicles travel through this intersection daily. This slide shows you a photograph of the intersection while you're viewing north. And then this next one shows you same intersection while you're viewing south. It's a T intersection, so this is while you're viewing west. And on this next slide, I want to demonstrate to you the available corner sight distance. So here you see, if you're on Flint Street, you're viewing south, that's a photograph on the left. And then while you're viewing north is a photograph on the right. Per the California Highway Design Manual, the minimum corner sight distance for a street with a posted 25 miles per hour is 275 feet. A field investigation revealed that the available corner sight distance for a vehicle traveling from Flint to safely enter onto Peppervilla Drive is less than the desirable requirement because of the horizontal curve that's on the south side of the road, and I will show you that shortly. Additionally, a research of city records revealed that 2 collisions have occurred at this intersection in the past 5 years, with one of the collisions being recorded as a broadside, or also known as T-bone. Now, in this next slide, if we look at the southeast corner, you can see the horizontal curb that I'm referring to. And approximately when we came out to the field, we measured about 100 feet of corner sight distance. So this slide also shows you the always stop installation at the intersection of Peppervilla Drive and Flint Street. Once again, the city of El Cajon follows the MUTCD and uses a point system developed by the city of San Diego. The criteria used for this calculator, again, is existing site conditions, traffic volumes, site distance obstructions, proximity to schools, and accident history. A minimum of 30 points out of 50 is typically required. This particular intersection only tallied up 21. It didn't meet the minimum 30. But although it doesn't satisfy the minimum requirement, the less than desirable sight distance, along with vehicles traveling at excessive speeds, are the justification for this installation. We gathered up data, city staff gathered up data for the month of September, October, and November. We started our efforts of enforcement and a trailer speed feedback sign, I believe it was in October, so our numbers showed the delta of dropping in speeds on the 85th percentile, the maximum speeds, and the average speed for this particular intersection. So in conclusion, with all that information that I have given you, city staff is requesting that we install an always stop at Peppervilla Drive at the intersection of Flint Street.
Okay, thank you. Questions? Michelle?
Thank you for the report. I understand that the school was contacted so that they could alert parents, correct?
Correct. I contacted the school. I spoke to the vice principal, and they were going to send out some literature, emails, and also some information in their student packets.
Yeah, 600 cars. There's not even 600 cars in that little bit of the neighborhood because I live just like 3 blocks away. And so thank you for doing that.
Would you be so kind to do me a favor? I couldn't find this street on Google Maps or Apple Maps. And the way Google Maps and Apple Maps spells Peppervilla is one word. So because everything is archived electronically for the internet and for legal documents related to those things, would you check out the correct spelling of the street for me?
I will. My understanding that it's 2 words, but yes, I would look into that.
Thank you.
And if I could just touch shortly on AB 413, which is the daylighting law, we do get requests through my civic in regards to being able to paint the curbs in red. There are certain intersections where we are applying the red curb, but there's other intersections where we would have to look into the need, because we would have many corners to go ahead and do the red paint and as Graham had mentioned, the maintenance of it also takes into play, but we have been looking at that as well.
I appreciate that, and I understand it as a maintenance issue. It probably is also a safety issue, as we've heard from the prior speakers, so hopefully we all can agree safety trumps maintenance. Thank you.
Interesting. My map has Pepper Villa as 2 words, and Mr. DiMaggio's map right next to me has it as 1 word. So we'll find out the official correct map name and include that in the public record.
Okay, more questions? Thanks, appreciate it. Speaker cards on this item?
None submitted.
Back to council for discussion and/or a motion.
Move adoption.
Second.
Okay, please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
Item 14 is about applications and interviews for city commissions. Staff will tell us about this.
Sir, you and the City Council previously approved receiving applications for the various commissions on a continuous basis, and we request that we continue to do the same. This item serves as a reminder to the public to submit an application for a commission or committee they might be interested in. And it also sets a date for interviews for 2 upcoming positions that have terms expiring on January of 2026. One would be for the Personnel Commission and one for the Planning Commission. Applications are available on the city's website or in the city clerk's office. And with your approval, interviews would be held on January 27, 2026 at our 7 p.m. meeting. And applications received by January 19 would also be considered at that meeting. And I would answer any questions you may have.
Yeah, what is the name of the planning commissioner whose term is up?
The commissioners?
Which one is
For the Personnel Commissioner, it's Mr. Richard Nassif, and for the Planning Commission, Mr. Sotile.
Thank you. Okay. So, council, you have any questions or comments? Any speaker cards on this item?
No speaker cards.
Okay. Looking for a motion?
Move adoption.
Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
Our next item is for the 2025 Annual Pension Status Report, and staff will please tell us about this. Hey, Clay. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor, distinguished members of the City Council. My name is Clay Shane. I'm the Finance Director for the City of El Cajon. I'm here today to present the Annual Pension Status Report. The city's pension funding policy requires that staff presents a status to the City Council of each of the 2 retirement plans we have with CalPERS, as well as discuss any of the additional amortization levels assessed. The requirement is that we do so during a public City Council meeting, and at that time we will also include any recommended actions or budget adjustments necessary. As is often the case, the health of our plans is directly driven by the performance of CalPERS investments. This is a table we try to show regularly. It comes directly from the CalPERS actuarial reports for both plans. This is a 20-year history of CalPERS investment performance. The blue horizontal line is a demonstration of the target discount rate for the plan, that is the earnings expectations. Each year is represented by the light blue bars. Simply when the bar is higher than that line, it's good for us. When it drops below it, it is bad. The actuarial reports that we're reporting on today are as of June 30th, 2024. For that last fiscal year, the last bar on the right, CalPERS investment returned 9.3% annually, and that exceeds our 6.8% investment target. Not included in this report is the 25 investment returns. CalPERS has announced that in FY25 they returned 11.6%, so we've had a couple of good years in a row here. However, it does fall outside this reporting period, so a lot of my comments today will sound very familiar next year. This table summarizes some of the data contained in both of these reports. The top line is what's really relevant. I did include the preceding 10 years just to give you an idea of the trend, the way things are going. As of June 30th, 2024, the total liability between both plans for retirement benefits for current and retired city employees is a little north of $710 million. To meet that liability, we have set aside assets of approximately $602.5 million. That leaves us with about $108 million unfunded. That is what we typically refer to as the unfunded liability. As far as CalPERS is concerned, that leaves our two plans funded to approximately 84.8%. However, it's important to keep in mind that we did issue pension obligation bonds a few years ago to pay off some of this debt. That is not reflected in these numbers, but I have included it here for your reference. Our total pension-related debt is the $108 million with CalPERS, and as of June 30th, 2024, we still have an outstanding POB principal balance of $131.2 million. So our pension-related debt as of that point in time is approximately $239 million. That is an improvement from last year's $253 million, so we are seeing movement in the right direction. That change is brought about by the new amortization levels. There are two for each of the city's plans, the safety plan and the miscellaneous plan. In this instance, a negative number is a good thing, and both of those negative numbers for investment gains and losses is where we are picking up or the impact on our unfunded liability as a result of overperformance for investments. Everything else related to the plan is shown up in the non-investment gains and loss lines. That is a net improvement of approximately $10 million there. And then the remaining improvement in our total pension-related debt is our principal component of our debt service on the POBs. CalPERS also includes an estimation of what our upcoming contribution will need to be for the next 5 years. For each of the two plans, we show a breakdown of the normal cost. That is an estimate of the current benefits being earned at this time. The UAL payment is the amortized payment of that UAL as far as CalPERS is concerned. For next fiscal year, we're expecting about $9.5 million for a UAL payment to CalPERS and about $9.1 million for the POB debt service along with that. As part of the pension funding policy, we are obligated to consider the allocation of additional resources. This continues to be a pretty significant financial burden for the city and will be for quite some time. Next year, the general fund budget is expected to be consumed approximately 25% for CalPERS in total. That's normal cost, UAL and POB. However, at this time, in light of the 2 strong years of investment performance, we are not recommending any additional contributions. So to wrap us up today, we do not recommend any additional contributions at this time. We, of course, revisit this topic on a regular basis through this report, which we will return in fall of next year, as well as the presentation of the 5-year business plan updates and the budget presentations. That concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Clay. Let me see if there's questions. Who'd like? Just one question. If you go back to the slide that has the unfunded liabilities over the years.
Yes, sir.
I'm just curious. So in 2021, we had a $23 million unfunded liability, and then it jumped up. So it went from 225 to 22. So that's the pension obligation bonds?
That's a part of the change there. The unfunded liability at the end of fiscal year 2020 was $226 million. A year later, it dropped down to $23.7 million, and then right back up to $115 million. That was the result of 2 things. In 2021, we issued $147 million of pension obligation bonds that went into the plan. But the other impact was the 2 in years of investment returns in 2021 and then again in 2022. So if you consider the timing of that POB issuance, we gave CalPERS a whole lot of money just in time for them to earn 21.3%. And those 2 in combination is why you see that dramatic drop from 225 down to 23 million. And then the following year, they turned around and lost 6.1%, which made it jump right back up to 115.
I thought Graham was just really good at cutting the budget. It saved us $200 million. Thank you, Graham.
But then I destroyed it the next year, so.
Oh, well.
Well, to be fair, Mr. Mayor, it was CalPERS, not Mr. Mitchell.
I know. I'm teasing. I appreciate you explaining that to me. Any more questions for Clay? Thank you, Clay. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
So where are we at then? Do we have any speaker cards for this item?
No speaker cards, sir.
All right. More discussion, or would somebody like to make a motion? Information only, right? Yeah, I guess so. I guess you're right. All right, let's move on then. Item 16 is we're holding that, correct?
That is correct.
Moving through at a rapid clip. All right, let's look at item 17, which is an update on the 2025 pavement condition report, and staff will tell us all about this.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, City Council members, and staff. My name is Zane Hanna, and I'm with the City of El Cajon's Engineering Services Department. Item number 17 before you today is an update on the city's pavement condition report, summarizing the results of the most recent pavement condition survey completed earlier this year. This survey was conducted by Applied Research Associates. Joining us today is one of their principal engineers, Philip Donovan, who will share additional details about the survey findings.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. I am Philip Donovan. I'm a principal engineer with Applied Research Associates out of Ventura, California. Thank you for this opportunity to present to the City of El Cajon its 2025 pavement condition report. Thank you to Zane, the engineering services, and the public works staff for the support throughout this year's assessment. This evening, I'll provide an overview of your pavement condition results, key findings from our network level assessment, and some data-driven recommendations for El Cajon's roadway investment strategy. So what exactly is pavement management? Why do we look at pavements? Well, it's your biggest investment for your city. And so it's kind of important that we manage it effectively. And when we say manage it, we mean planning that pavement maintenance and rehabilitation to spend the money at the right place at the right time to get the best bang for your buck. So that's what we're trying to explain today. And the city uses this program called Street Saver to plan and manage their pavements, or your pavement. So what does the city manage? A city manages about 41 million square feet of pavement in different rankings, meaning different statuses of road use. For residential roads, which get very little traffic during the day compared to your principal arterials, which are going to be your high-speed, multi-lane roads. The principal arterials are the ones that need the best pavements because you want the traffic to operate smoothly and safely, and the residential roads do not need as high a quality because they're lower speed, lower traffic. So you guys have a lot of pavement. When I talk about pavement distress, this is near and dear to my heart. This is my specialty. When we look at pavements, what are we looking at? We're looking at cracks. And I can tell you the science behind the cracking and why the cracks occur, but for the council and the staff, the biggest thing to understand is that if you get a crack in your pavement, it lets water through. And if that water gets down into the ground below it, it makes that surface less strong, and then the pavement cracks even more. So your worst case is up there in the upper left, which is alligator cracking. And we get technical here, and that's alligator cracking because it looks like the back of an alligator. And so that's a real technical term there, but it's the worst case scenario. It's your smallest pieces. They're going to come out. They're going to create potholes. That's your worst condition. Okay, and then the other thing we look at is patching. When you get in there and you fix that alligator cracking, is the patch a really good patch? Is it a bad patch? Is it going to fall apart quickly? Patching is a severe distress. Longitudinal and transverse cracking. These are just straight line cracks in line with traffic or across the road in transverse direction. And then block cracking. The pavement gets old and it breaks down into big square chunks, and that is a major distress. And then rutting. Rutting, we've all seen rutting. You've driven in roads that have rutted. That's a depression in the wheel path. Those are the top 5 distresses that we're concerned with pavements. So the rest of them, there's a lot of other distresses. In fact, there's another 14 distresses below those that are minor distresses compared to those top 5. We focus on those top 5, to be honest. The inspection this year went through a transition. Last inspection you did was a manual inspection where we had folks on the ground walking the roads and determining where those cracks were, how big they were, and how much the extent of those cracks. You've transitioned to a automated pavement condition survey this year, in which case we use a laser scanning system to identify the cracks on the roads. And the big advantage of that is you've got a much bigger sample, so you're representing a much more area of the road, and the PCI, or the pavement condition, is going to be more representative of that road. The other advantage is it's safer. We're not out there walking the roads, so we're not in the middle of traffic, and we're not estimating from the side of the road, so it's safer. We can repeat that. So if we go back next week, we get the same images, we get the same results. So that's important. And the other thing is transparency. City staff has access to all of the images that we collected at any time to go back and see what the condition of that road is at that time of the inspection. The van that we used was called a Pathrunner van, and it takes a laser line scan behind the vehicle, and it stitches those images together to create that image in the lower right there, where you see the cracks. And then the purple lines in that lower image are the cracks that the computer has identified and will quantify for determining the pavement condition. And we like to call this like an MRI for the pavement, because an MRI takes lines, scans, and puts them together. That's the same thing that we're doing, only we're doing it on the pavement surface. So the pavement condition index, just as a primer, is a 0 to 100 score telling you how good your pavement is. 100 being the best. That's the best pavement that you can possibly have. That's a brand new pavement. And 0 being a pavement that you can't use anymore, that it's not functioning correctly. As of January of 2025, the City of El Cajon's PCI was 66. Now this is January of 25, and I won't steal Zane's thunder here, but it has improved this year. So you are not in a bad condition right now. 66 is actually a pretty good PCI score. And how do we arrive at that PCI score? We talk about the distress type, the distress quantity, how much distress there is, and the severity, how wide those cracks are, how severe that pavement is breaking down. That's going to tell us the PCI. Some examples of the different scores. A PCI of 90 is up there in the upper left. That's a road that's got a few cracks in it, not very bad, not at all. It's a very smooth road. It's a good road. And then down in the lower right there, you see a PCI of 16, which is fully alligator cracked, has potholes, has bad patching, and is just a bad road. And you guys are at about a 66, so you're in that 69, that PCI 69 range. That's the average for the whole city. So the city of El Cajon is actually doing pretty well for their pavement condition. Overall, the city, like I said, is a 66, but I want to point out here that your arterials, your major roads, are at 84. That's really good. That means your arterials are taken care of, they're smooth, they've got fewer cracks, they're going to last longer, and they're durable roads. So that's a good score for arterials. And your major collectors are also above that 70-point score, which makes them in the green zone. And your residentials are actually at 64, which is actually pretty high for residential streets. A lot of time residential streets will get avoided or ignored because they're not as critical as your primary, your principal, or your collector streets, and that makes them deteriorate over the years, and if they're not addressed, they just keep getting worse and worse and worse. So 64 for residential is actually pretty good. The lower left there shows you your score compared to the other jurisdictions in around this area. And you're at 66, which is the higher end of the jurisdictions in the area. And all those jurisdictions were using a PCI calculation that was similar to ours, which was the laser-based, the imaging-based analysis. So that's an apples-to-apples comparison. The city of El Cajon is doing pretty well there. And now I'll transition over to Zane again, and he'll talk about maintenance and rehabilitation.
Thank you, Philip. I'd now like to shift our focus to the city's paving program. On this slide, you'll see a map of the city's maintenance zones. Our paving program operates on a clockwise maintenance zone cycle, where 2 zones are prioritized each fiscal year. Typically, about 80% of paving efforts are concentrated within those zones, while the remaining 20% addresses citywide needs. The city's next paving cycle will be focused in Maintenance Zone 1 and Maintenance Zone 2, which you can see highlighted in the purple and the green. In Maintenance Zone 1, we'll be performing crack and slurry seal to complete those zones' preventative maintenance. In Maintenance Zone 2, we'll be performing asphalt spot repairs, which is our prep work before we can slurry that zone. Example of these will be provided in the coming slides. This approach ensures that each zone receives maintenance at least twice within a 5-year period. This allows the city to implement appropriate paving strategies, manage costs effectively, and plan projects efficiently. On this slide, you'll see a graphic illustrating how pavement typically deteriorates over time, along with the treatment levels they would correspond to each stage of the decline. The 3 treatment levels shown are preventative maintenance, which you can see on the top left, which is level 1. On level 2, you see rehabilitation, and reconstruction on the bottom right, which is level 3. As pavement worsens and moves into those higher levels, the cost of treatment increases significantly. For context, a newly constructed road enters the preventative maintenance window around years 6 to 10. Rehabilitation are usually needed between years 11 and 16 and beyond, but could vary depending on existing conditions, traffic volume, and how much maintenance was performed during those years. This slide shows examples and photos of typical paving projects along with the treatment categories they fall under. On the top left, you'll see, on the top in particular, you'll see 2 different preventive maintenance projects on Fletcher Parkway, which was completed in 2024. Our preventive maintenance always begins with our asphalt spot repairs project, we can see on the top left, where we grind and replace isolated sections of pavement in poor conditions, such as the alligator cracks or potholes that Philip described earlier. After spot repairs, we return with a separate slurry seal project. This includes sealing smaller cracks, followed by applying a slurry seal surface, which is the final protective layer. Along the bottom are examples of our more intensive and higher cost treatments, including a mill and pave overlay shown on the bottom left, which is typically about 2.5 inches thick. And on the bottom right is a full roadway reconstruction, where the depth and thickness of the treatment is varied depending on the street and the conditions of the road. Here's a before and after picture of our recently repaved Broadway. You can see on the left was Broadway before we paved it, where it had a PCI of 30. And you can see in the pictures provided, there's some alligator cracking on the wheel path of the vehicles. And typically when you have cracking in the wheel path, that creates more cracking because you're having more stress, you're applying more stress on the path of the vehicles. And then on the right is our newly reconstructed Broadway with a PCI of 100, which was completed this past October. And on top of that, after we pave a road, we also give it fresh striping, which helps with nighttime safety and visibility. Here's a before and after comparison. On this slide, we have drone footage provided by our police department showing the before and after conditions of our recently repaved Chase Avenue, completed this past August. This project covered the stretch from Avocado Avenue to El Cajon Boulevard, near the I-8 off-ramp. For the sake of time, we'll stop the video about halfway through, near Magnolia Avenue. Some striping improvements can actually be seen as the new Keep Clear legend provided at the Chase Avenue Elementary School entrance driveway. This improvement is to help with traffic congestion and flows, especially during peak hours and volumes, such as school pickup and drop-off. On these next two slides, we'd like to provide a recap of what the city has invested and accomplished so far in fiscal year 2026. To date, we have completed under our $6 million overlay project, which includes major corridors such as Chase Avenue, Broadway, Fletcher Parkway, East Main Street, and many other arterials in our City of El Cajon streets. Funding for this project included Transnet and SB1 funds. Approximately 75% of the funds for this project were Transnet funds, and 25% were funded with SB1 money. In total, this project replaced more than 2 million square feet of asphalt, which represents approximately 5% of the city's entire roadway network. Continuing on what has been accomplished so far in fiscal year 2026, we also completed our asphalt spot repairs project, totaling just under $700,000 across the 14 streets listed here, including Fanita Drive, Granite Hills, Sandalwood, and several others. Majority of this project, about 80%, was funded with SB1 funds. This work represents the first phase of our preventive maintenance for these streets. These same streets, along with 15 additional, 29 in total, are scheduled to receive crack sealing and slurry seal treatment, with construction tentatively planned for 2026. The majority of these streets are within Maintenance Zone 1. Now, in summary, between these two projects, the city's total investment in roadway improvements in fiscal year 2026 is approximately $6.7 million. This investment increased our citywide PCI from 66, based on the pavement survey completed at the beginning of the year, as indicated by Philip, to now to being 68 as December of 2025. And you can see the biggest increase came on our minor arterials, going from a 64 average PCI to now a 70 average in PCI, which includes streets like Chase, Broadway, and Main Street. While this year's investment was close to $7 million, our typical annual investment ranges between $3 and $4 million, and the city typically sees about a 1-point PCI increase for every $3 million invested in the city's paving program. Our department's long-term target PCI is 70, which we anticipate reaching in the next 1 to 3 years. We plan to achieve this through continued efficient project planning, utilizing the tools provided through Street Saver, and ongoing inspection, monitoring, and maintenance of the city's pavement network. Now, this slideshow and presentation was informative only, so there's no action actually needed by the council. But with that concludes my presentation, and we're happy to answer any questions.
I appreciate that. Gary's got a question?
What's the average PCI for the East County cities, or if you don't have that, just cities in general in San Diego County?
We do have a graphic here on the bottom left where we have El Cajon. This is back before we did our paving. We had an average PCI of 66, but Chula Vista had an average PCI of 57, Santee at 64, City of San Diego at 63. Some of the higher ones were Chula Vista with 72, and Del Mar with the highest being 76.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
And Mr. Kendrick, the challenge with that question, though, is not everyone judges their streets exactly the same way. So these comparisons here are the ones that are using the same technology that we're using, so it's a true apple-to-apple comparison.
Okay, great.
Do the other cities know that we beat them?
I've sent them emails already.
Okay. Maybe get them a second-place trophy. We could send it to them.
Any other questions? All right.
I actually have a question.
Yes, go ahead, Steve.
Thank you.
Phil.
A couple of really quick ones. When we do the actual slurry and we pave over 2.5 inches, does that eventually creep up higher and higher? And how do we mitigate that? Or
The
do you have to scrape it?
Yeah, the slurry is about 1/4 of an inch thick whenever we slurry a road. So we don't slurry a road typically more than once before we mill it and remove this thickness and put it back with 2.5.
Got it.
So that usually wears off in the 5 or 7 years before we come back with a mill. And mill is the grinding and removal piece, and then we place back the 2.5.
Got it.
Yeah.
And then do we know the average lifespan of a street, so we'll know when we have to redo it?
Yep. So if we were to overlay a street, it's typically going to last us between 8 to 11 years. However, before those 8 to 11 years, let's say around year 5 to 7, if we hit it with a slurry seal project, which is a very cost-effective, cheap cost to maintain our streets, then we can go from 8 to 11 years of life to about 16 to 20. So,
okay.
so
So
it
if you
extends
do-
the life. So if we preserve
every
our
5
streets,
years.
then we can extend the life.
That's fantastic. Thank you. And the other question is, I mean, this is the bread and butter of local government. I feel like this is a social media post waiting to happen. It's teed up. We can compare us to other cities in the area, the scores, the video, the before and after, how much investment. It shows we're doing a good job. Add some caption to a 30-second video so we can tell the story about how we're using tax dollars wisely and keeping up, not only keeping up, but exceeding our counterparts. So thank you.
Steve?
Any given residential street in the city should receive some kind of treatment once every how many years?
Typically, once every 20 years for an overlay, 20 to 25 years, and hopefully within that time frame, we also would slurry it.
So a typical street, they'll get at least a slurry once every 20 years?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'm just curious about the same thing. So I live in a cul-de-sac. There's 5 houses, not that many people driving that street. How long will that last compared to, say, Broadway?
It really depends, just because the traffic volumes on Broadway are much more than the cul-de-sac. However, the pavement on Broadway is built to last for the higher volumes, so you'll have thicker sections on Broadway than you will on a cul-de-sac. So it really just varies depending on each street, case by case. Some cul-de-sacs are built with higher sections than other cul-de-sacs, so it really just varies. But
Am I correct in remembering that we have a system that every street in the city gets taken care of on a rotating basis?
yes, correct. So
how many years is that?
So we have the cities broken up into. The city is broken up into 5 zones, and as we enter, every time we enter a zone, we come with 3 different projects: spot repairs, slurry, and overlay. Now there's a gap between when we implement each one of those, but whenever we evaluate each street case by case, and we like to group streets together. So let's say we're paving a major road like Finita, we also like to evaluate the adjacent residential streets nearby so they don't feel like they're being left out. When we pave the arterial next to it, we also try to hit the neighbors that are next to it. So it's case by case.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
More questions? All right. Well, great job. Very comprehensive report. I understand a lot more about roads than I did before. So thank you. Are there any speaker cards for this item?
No speaker card, sir.
Okay, then I think we're done with this unless the council has any other statements or questions. All right. We have 3 administrative reports. Item 18 is for the Magnolia Active Space Project, and I'll ask staff to tell us about this.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. Noah Alvey from the Community Development Department. Again, this item is related to the 2025 City Council Action Plan. That's where the council identified a desire to see the space around the Magnolia activated and to better connect the Magnolia to downtown with options for a sidewalk that could light up. So this is the view of the area that we're talking about this evening. It's the corner. This picture was taken from the corner of East Main Street and Sulzfeld. So we're facing towards the Magnolia. The total area is approximately 1 acre, and it includes the Veterans Plaza, our now dormant water feature, as well as some mature landscaping. So in looking at this area, multiple city departments got together and tried to identify some of the challenges. One of the challenges is that there's a difficult wheelchair access from downtown to the Magnolia. There's the stairs that lead up to the Magnolia, but for wheelchair access, you essentially need to go all the way up to the police department in order to circle around and have a ramp to access the area. We also coordinated with our stakeholders, and we did identify a need for more power outlets near the entrance to the Magnolia for pre-event activities. We did identify a lack of lighting and narrow sidewalks connecting the Magnolia to downtown. And then obviously there's the underutilized area where the former water feature is located. So this is a character image that was intended to illustrate how the area could be activated with seating and also to provide flexibility for a variety of events and programming. This image indicates decomposed granite or dirt surface with compacted decomposed granite, showing tables and chairs to activate the area, but also allowing flexibility for a variety of events. So this aerial image identifies the activity area where the former water feature is in tan, so that would be the proposed decomposed granite area. It would also identify an opportunity for a new accessible ramp in pink, as well as an expanded sidewalk in green, and then lighting connecting to downtown with the orange arrow. We also identified an opportunity for a bathroom or a bathroom pad for temporary bathrooms. That would be the purple square along East Main Street. And then we would also looked at opportunities for new fencing to secure the area and the investment. So again, we did circulate this plan with New City America as well as with Live Nation. They supported these concepts. And we also had comments from New City America about trying to activate the west side of the Magnolia with some sort of mural as an opportunity just to help it better identify as a location for live events. So the overall cost estimate for these improvements was coordinated with the Public Works Department. We're looking at a cost estimate just at a high level based on between $670,000 and $895,000. The higher figure includes an option for like a decorative gate entry feature, like a place where people could take selfies or better identify the location as a landmark. And then also the difference between constructing a permanent bathroom facility. So the permanent bathroom facility was based on the bathrooms that were constructed at Wells Park, as opposed to proposing something that's more temporary in nature. So you could construct a bathroom pad with some sort of covered area that could have temporary porta potties that could be imported onto that pad. All the options include the retention of the mature trees and landscaping that are along Sulzfeld Avenue. Also want to note that we did explore the concept of sidewalks that light up, but ultimately we found that they would be challenging to maintain, and we would recommend looking at other options for lighting, such as downlighting along expanded sidewalks or other design features that we could explore if the council decides to give us direction to move forward. So with that, again, this was just a action item from the council's action plan, so we're bringing this for your consideration. So we are just asking for your feedback on the potential improvements and give us direction. So happy to answer any questions.
Questions? Gary?
Yeah. One thing that I noticed from going to Walt Disney World is they had actual tiles that lit up. Mm-hmm. And is that anything under consideration? Because it was really beautiful, and it's almost like pulling you down the sidewalk.
That's what we looked at. The cost for bringing in LED or fiber optic lines to light those panels up would be pretty expensive. But the bigger cost is those panels have to be replaced constantly because of their clear and their ability to scuff. unless they're made out of glass, but then they have some other maintenance issues. So we probably don't have the wherewithal to maintain those types of infrastructure. So we would recommend, as Noah indicated, some more uplighting or downlighting. So lights that were above that could be projected down, that could have different features, whether it be colors or or movement, or even some different designs to kind of do the same effect. We wouldn't have that same Michael Jackson video effect, but we think those are pretty expensive. And the only places where we found those operational are at amusement parks, and I believe one place in Europe on a very small scale. So they're not really well implementable outside of an amusement park.
Okay. One of the things I was thinking about is maybe during the holiday periods, if we had enough electrical outlets there, we might be able to rent out to different organizations to have lighting displays. And I talked to a couple of organizations, and they were interested in that. Just as, and we could say, okay, it costs you X number of dollars to have things lit up during the holiday season, and you can have your little advertisement there. And it would be something to draw people to downtown. They'd go, oh, what's that, when they come out of the Performing Arts Center?
I think that would definitely be an opportunity that we could look at if the council wants to give us direction to move forward with this project. The idea obviously being to repurpose and activate that area. So we're looking at lighting improvements. And so this, again, was just a high-level estimate. So there's an opportunity to integrate that idea as part of future design.
Okay, great.
Michelle?
Thanks, Noah, for the report. Have we looked at solar lighting? Since we do get a lot of sun out here, and it would also reduce the cost of electricity and, power use. Is that a viable option?
Yeah, that's something we could definitely consider as part of the design phase.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Noah. My one question is regarding the water feature. It's dormant. Is it not operational, or can you speak to that a little bit?
Correct. It's no longer operational. So this would just be an opportunity to activate that space, make it more usable, and provide an opportunity for Live Nation and other events.
I do like the idea of having a water feature in that area, but if it's cost prohibitive to rehab it or put a new pump in, if the infrastructure is already there, maybe we stick with the plan. But maybe we stick with the plan of grading it. But if the water infrastructure is already there, integrate that scene area with a smaller water feature. I think it's such a gem to have the ambient water noise, and it creates an environment that is welcoming.
Mr. Ortiz, one of the challenges is that there's some leaks. Besides the pumps no longer functioning, there's also some leaks. So in order to repair that, it would require us to rip all that landscape out.
We're starting over.
Start over.
Okay.
It's not as expensive as the plan that we're presenting, but it's about at least half of that, if not more.
Oh wow! To rehab the water.
To rehab
feature.
it's like about $500,000.
That's cost prohibitive.
One of the things, if the council likes the idea of a water feature rather than the full scale river,
right?
There could be some sort of a fountain or some other feature that's part of the design of whatever is going to be built there at some point.
Yeah, something. I think the water when it was working, it was nice to sit by, and I'd imagine it would create the same environment. The other question was, we're going to have the decorative fence around the area. Does this mean that area is no longer accessible to the public, that they can just sit down and use the seating area, or what does that look like?
So I think ultimately the concept there was to be able to protect the investment and make it so that it could be used by Live Nation for private events as well as for programming by New City America. But I think as we move forward with this project, I think there's definitely an opportunity to think about other opportunities and options where the public could access that area as well.
No, I love the idea of having outdoor seating. I would love at some point to you know how Santee Lakes has that vendor inside where there's food. That could be an option as well. But I love the idea of protecting the investment, and that would be my only feedback, especially the water feature to some degree, if it's possible. If it's cost prohibitive and we're doubling our budget, then that doesn't make sense. So.
Mr. Ortiz, the other thing you mentioned, sort of a vending area. One of the things that Mr. DiMaggio and I looked at, and actually we met with a developer in Los Angeles with Live Nation, of doing something that Mr. Alves presented, but with not food trucks, but containers, kind of like there's the container park in downtown San Diego or in Las Vegas. This has the ability that creates an infrastructure. If that makes sense and the council wanted to go that direction, that could be a next evolution of this project.
Isn't a water feature somewhat problematic with the state of homelessness that's in California right now?
I think if it were fenced, the area were fenced, and so there's that protection of that asset, I think that helps with that.
Okay. Steve, yeah, go ahead.
An idea for the mural, which would be very expensive, you can also consider projection. You project a mural, it would only be visible at night, which is what we want to do, is draw attention to this building at night, not during the day. So there may be a cost-effective solution for projection.
And they can change it
onto the side. Live Nation would have a stake in this. Do they have any funds to help do something like this? It's December. It's time for Christmas wishes.
As part of the current exercise, we just looked at the challenges that Live Nation has about having successful events, and so that's where they identified the need for those additional outlets for electrical at the entrance, but we have not approached them for funding assistance.
Oh, so they want us to provide more power for their. I don't have a problem asking for that. I do like the idea of removing the water feature for the current water feature for seating and DG and patio and things like that. If we're going to have more of a food experience as part of this event, you always look for a place to sit to eat your food, and whether that is a food truck and picnic table or containers that have roll-up windows that are semi-permanent. I like the idea of it being more of a foodie atmosphere kind of a thing.
One last quick question. Is this going to come funding from general fund reserves, or where would this funding come from?
I think the direction right now is, do you like the direction? Do you hate the direction? If you like it, then we can put a little bit more meat on the bones and figure out funding options. But we didn't want to do that level of work if this is a no-go. So I think we're looking for some general direction, and if it is all general funded, that might not be a possibility now, but it's something that you can at least have in the back seat or in your back of your pocket in case something does happen.
I do strike the bathroom thing is what I'm thinking. The Magnolia has bathrooms, and if you're here for a Magnolia event and you're here to eat, it's a walk up to the Magnolia, but there's plenty of facilities inside pre-event. I don't think we need to create bathrooms at the front entrance to our star.
Gary, go ahead.
Yeah, I think Steve makes a good point. I'd rather not have the bathrooms there. We can put the money somewhere else.
Well, with the this is still all pushed. This is all still fenced off from the public. So technically, it wouldn't be open to the public use, but they could use it if they were really determined.
In my mind, I don't see this as a Live Nation venue. I really see this as a city venue that gets operated when Live Nation's doing events, but we could also operate it when we're doing our events. So there may not be the Magnolia restroom. I do agree the placement of the restroom is, in my mind, problematic. It's front and center, as was stated. I think maybe there's some other opportunities that we can explore.
But if we're doing other event programming, such as Haunt Fest or whatever, we usually have portable restrooms as part of those events.
That's correct.
That was the concept that we discussed with Parks and Recreation, was the need for that type of, so if they were able to have an enclosure that was there, it would essentially hide those porta potties that are being brought in for Haunt Fest and for other events. So that was really the concept behind the pad as opposed to full, complete bathrooms.
Well, I think as far as direction, my opinion, the need to activate that space is there. I think it's great, and I think it leaves enough of a blank slate for phase 2 or 3 or 4. It's seating, it's durable, it's going to last. Some mural ideas to make it, Instagrammable, selfie. That's going to be the draw, and bringing people out of the Magnolia into downtown. I love the idea of funneling it, making it a natural progression. I think it's a great idea. My only suggestion is just keep New City America and the Magnolia creative people in the loop as much as possible for the hip new ideas, so we're not building something that's not going to work in the future.
Yeah, it's kind of a dead space right now. We have this asset, and it's not being used it's not at highest and best use as it is right now. So I think going forward with something of a draw to help integrate the Magnolia with downtown, get those big crowds of 1,200 people, at least some of them, to say, hey, let's go downtown here and explore. It looks really nice, the pathway.
Great.
Okay, so I like the idea of that space being used for activated. Wouldn't it be something? We're frustrated that the downtown El Cajon group is not seizing on the opportunity of hundreds of people coming in. But maybe we have a facility, whether it's containers, something like that, for people who operate catering businesses, Mikos, cottage food. Hey, if the people downtown don't want to get it, I'm sure there are other people who have home-based businesses who would love exposure to do that kind of thing and grow their business, and that can be an incubator of sorts.
That's a good idea.
The only thing, everybody covered almost everything, but is there going to be any kind of amplification system, a built-in PA type system?
We didn't build that into our cost estimate, but definitely there's an opportunity there.
I'd like to throw it out there. I mean, just so many times, every time it seems like we go out there, we have to drag out a PA system, and sometimes you might want to pump in music for it wouldn't be particularly expensive, I don't think.
No, and you could even create a bit of an entertainment venue there too. So I think there's some value to have that built into the infrastructure.
Okay, well, let me see if there's any speaker cards on this item.
No speaker cards, sir.
Noah, thanks. It's been great. I appreciate it. Very comprehensive report.
Yeah, thank you, Noah. That was really good.
And you don't need us to vote on anything, right? You just,
No, I think we got some great consensus from the council. We heard your feedback. We'll bring something back at a later date.
Wonderful. Item 19 is a report on the city attorney employment agreement. Our city manager will tell us about this.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, I don't know if you've heard, but Mr. Foley's retiring.
That's the rumor.
There's a rumor. In preparation for that, the City Council met in closed session with Ms. Jennifer Lyon. She is being proposed to be the replacement, or the next city attorney. Council directed staff, or directed me, to develop an employment agreement that's being presented to you as part of this agenda packet. There's a resolution that would go along with that. The details of that are found in the staff report or the agenda report, and staff's happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, and you wanted us to decide whether or not we wanted to take this up in closed session.
Correct. If there were personnel matters that should be discussed in closed session, we could recess to closed session if the council wanted to do that as an option. But if there's things that can be discussed openly, I'd recommend we just stay in open session.
Are there any questions for Graham to start with? Steve has a question.
After reading through this, it appears to be just a continuation of the existing agreement in all material terms.
That's exactly correct.
Okay.
No more questions? Okay, do we have any speaker cards on this item?
No speaker card, sir.
Okay, we have, first thing I think we have to decide is whether or not you want to take this into closed session or not. I actually don't see a need for it, but if somebody does.
I don't either.
I'm comfortable.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and make that, let's make that part of the motion then.
For approval?
Yeah.
Well, I did want to maybe add one thing, and I don't know if this is appropriate, but as part of the agreement, we have an annual review that our city manager, we have with our city manager. I think it'd be appropriate if it's possible to add that to the agreement, that annually we have a review with our city attorney in closed session, as we do with our city manager. I didn't see that in there, but if that's
Any
possible, I
objections,
think that's...
Graham?
It would be easy to take the language that's in my agreement for the annual evaluation and put it in if that's the direction from the city council.
So then we'll make that part of the motion, okay?
Council can amend, the council can amend the agreement as presented to include that, and we'll include that in the agreement.
Great.
So moved.
Yeah, so I'll make that motion to adopt the resolution as outlined in the staff report, with the addition of obviously keeping this in open session, and in addition, adding an annual review for the city manager to be conducted in closed session with the mayor and council to reflect the same verbiage as outlined in the city manager's contract. And to strike the closed session language.
Second that.
Okay, moved and seconded, please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
All right, the last administrative report on today's agenda, item 20, is for updates to City Council Policy A29, and our city manager will tell us about this.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. Over the past few years, we've been analyzing in all departments ways to streamline operation, ways to improve our customer service delivery, opportunities to eliminate redundancy. And so as part of that review, we have been looking at or analyzing the community development department in the engineering services department. As you recall, engineering services used to be part of public works, which we split off a few years ago. And so that's its own operating department. With to support this idea of providing really high level of customer service, we recognize that a lot of the customers that community development is dealing with are the same customers that engineering services is dealing with, a lot of the development community, and there's a lot of opportunity to bring those two departments together as a development services department rather than having two different departments. This isn't abnormal. There's a lot of cities in our county that operate with the development services department. So we are recommending that we merge these two departments together. That's something that can actually happen sort of at the city manager level. However, what can't happen, what's needed from the city council, is a recognition and an approval of some additional positions that currently do not exist. Currently, we have a director of engineering services and a director of community development, but we do not in our A29 document have a director of engineering or development services. So we would recommend that the city council adopt the changes to the A29 policy that would create a director of development services, and it would also create deputy directors for development services. We would not be backfilling Mr. Schute's position after he leaves, and we would be using the exact same personnel. In fact, we would be down one person by doing this route. So with that, staff's here to answer any questions that you may have specifically about this idea. And if not, we can staff would recommend you entertain a motion to create these two new positions.
Okay. Questions for Graham? I see none. Speaker cards?
None, sir.
Okay. Back to council. Discussion, or if somebody would like to proceed.
Move
with a motion.
adoption of staff recommendation.
Second.
Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
All right. We have no commissioner reports on today's agenda. Item 21 is my activities report and as reported. Item 22 is the city council assignments for the 2026 calendar year. My recommendation is that the city council continues with the same assignments unless somebody does not want to do their assignments or wants to take on a different assignment. And before we get into discussing of that, though, let's ask Angela if there's any speaker cards.
We have no speaker cards, sir.
So what do you think, council? Everybody wants to stay with the same jobs? Okay. I'll make a motion then to do just that.
Second.
Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
That takes us to activity reports for Councilmember Goebel.
As reported.
Councilmember Kendrick.
As reported.
Mayor Pro Tem Mitchell.
As reported, as I also attended the Gillespie Field meeting this morning.
Oh. And Councilmember Ortiz.
As reported, with one strike, I did not attend the ECPD officers' Christmas party.
Okay. There are no joint councilmember reports, no general information items, and no first readings of ordinances on today's agenda. We have two items for a second reading and adoption of ordinances on today's agenda. Item 27 is for a window transparency limitations for medical and healthcare providers. I'll ask the city clerk to read the title. But first, Angela, are there any speaker cards for this item?
No speaker cards, sir.
Then would you please read it?
And the title for the first ordinance, an ordinance replacing subsection 17.115.130.I.1 to allow window tinting for medical and dental patient privacy, and subsection 17.190.210.H for consistency with window sign limitations for Chapter 17.115 and 17.190 of Title 17 of the El Cajon Municipal Code, respectively. The title for the second ordinance, an ordinance approving an amendment to specific plan number 182 to allow window tinting for medical and dental patient privacy.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt.
Second.
Please vote.
Motion carries by a 4-0 vote. Mr. Ortiz is absent.
Item 28 is an ordinance applicable to the age of persons allowed to purchase tobacco products for the relocation of smoke shops. I'll ask the city clerk to please read this title, but first, Angela, are there any speaker cards for this item?
No speaker card, sir.
Then would you read the title and recite the title, please?
An ordinance replacing section 17.240.070.E, updating the minimum age for persons purchasing tobacco from 18 to 21, and adding a new section 17.240.095 applicable to the relocation of smoke shops to Chapter 17.240 of Title 17 of the El Cajon Municipal Code.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt. Please vote.
Motion carries by a 4-0 vote with Councilmember Ortiz absent.
We're now at closed session. The city attorney will recite the title and lead us into the closed session.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. The City Council meeting in closed session for two items. Both of them are existing litigation. The first item, number 29, is for a conference with legal counsel on existing litigation pursuant to paragraph 1 of subdivision D of Government Code Section 54956.9. It is a workers' comp claim of Frank Battaglia. Am I saying that right? Battaglia versus City of El Cajon. Second is again an existing litigation pursuant to paragraph 1 of subdivision D of Government Code Section 54956.9. Is a workers' compensation claim of Michael Kaufman.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the closed session. Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
I'd like to ask our city attorney to, for the last time, report on the actions taken in closed session.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. You met in closed session to discuss two items of existing litigation, both workers' compensation claims as described previously, and direction was given to the city's workers' comp representative for those matters.
Thank you, Morgan. This brings us to the adjournment of the joint meeting of the El Cajon City Council, El Cajon Housing Authority, successor agency to the El Cajon Redevelopment Agency, held this 9th day of December, 2025, is adjourned till Tuesday, January 13th, 2026, at 3 o'clock p.m. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's, and we'll see you in January, except for the special meeting we're having next week. So, well, not in council, but yeah.